Hey, welcome to the new studio. Um, Here we are. You have to bear with me. I'm still trying to figure out this mic and a good place to put it. I'm in my best clothes out here because I'm going to do some stuff with the worms. So just to, this stuff needs to get washed anyway. So just in case, there's a mutiny or something. Not really. They're worms, but if you've done anything with worms before, the worm compost is the stickiest stuff you can even imagine. So we're gonna put on some gloves just to save from washing our hands 1,000 times, and I'm gonna show you the worm trap. I'll give you a quick little tour of the new studio. It's a mess. You should have saw it 2 months ago. This is actually an improvement. Um, but it's a insulated area of the house um, that so far hasn't frozen. We've gone through the coldest part of the winter so far, so I'm thinking that it's probably good. I got a little heater here, a little garage heater I got a couple years ago, just to take the chill off. But right now it's about 12 degrees in here, so it's okay. It's okay to work. I'm going to, you see my oil bowls up there. I'm going to get the clay stuff back going again once I get the kiln set up. Um, do some it's a cold storage right now for the squash and pumpkins. Yeah, the workbench here, desk, and I'm gonna start making some beer and wine again eventually. So um, there you go. Okay, so here's the worm bin. Um, I've only got one going right now. I think I maxed out at 8 at one point in time. Um, but because of the move and everything else that's going on, um, this is the worm bin. Here, see if I can get a better angle. Okay, so that's the better angle. Um, Obviously homemade. If you've been following along at all, go on the website, eatmyshrubs.com. Um, you there's a page there of how I built this thing. I want to say it's on YouTube too, but I think that's the other one. That's the first one I did. This is all cedar. It's old walkway that was destroyed in a flood. So I brought it home and cleaned it all up, and here's the worm bin. If you've ever um, seen those worm composting towers, where you put the new tray on top of each other, um, this is utilizing the same principle, um, and that the worms naturally want to go up to get food. Um, in their natural habitat, as the leaf litter and stuff falls to the ground, they want to come up to get the food. So that's what we're trying to do here. Um, Basically, it's just a pail. This one's not. You can get a clean one, but I have so many pails. I didn't want to go get a clean one. Um, just a regular pail, whatever. It's gonna fit the amount of compost that you have. And then what I've done is taken a lid. Um, this one doesn't quite fit on this pail, I now realize. It's not the end of the world. It'll work just fine. And then this is a smaller pail. It's like for paint. Um, I think it's meant for, well, it's just a smaller pail, whatever. Um, and I cut the bottom out of it and put in it's like chicken wire. It doesn't need to be chicken wire, it's just what I had um, on the bottom of that. I've stapled it in. You can't see the staples, but um, I've just stapled it a few times, and then the duct tape on the outside is just to protect my fingers from the staples sticking out the other end. So it's fairly sturdy. Um, What else can I say about this? That's pretty much it. Um, but and then we put, so there's a lid for that. There's a hole cut obviously out of this lid so that this will fit down in it. And this is basically our trap. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take the compost. I'm going to take the compost out of here, put it in the bottom of this pail, and then when I get it as much as I can get out of there anyway, this sits on top of the compost. I'm going to put new stuff here for food in here, which will draw the worms that are still left in the compost out of the compost into here. When we set this, what we do is we put a little shredded newspaper at the bottom. Sorry, a little shredded newspaper at the bottom, and then we'll put some food on top of the newspaper, and then what happens is the worms will come up through the newspaper to the food, but then I don't know if they really. The premise is that it's a trap, so they can't get back down through the newspaper. I think basically they don't want to because the food is all here, so they'll just stay here. Um, and then it takes a couple of loadings, so we'll have to come back in a couple of days. We'll take the worms that we've trapped, put them in the other side of the compost, and then reset it, do it again, and a couple of 3 times, and you'll get pretty much worm-free compost. Um, and then you keep your hands relatively clean. Um, the first time I tried to harvest compost, I just dumped the compost out onto the linoleum floor and tried to harvest it that way. That was a huge pain in the butt. So I don't recommend it. This is, it takes, probably a couple of hours to cut this out and do all that stuff. It's relatively easy to do, um, relatively easy to build, and you'll see how so much easier it is to do this. So that's the premise. That's how it's going to work. So let's get into it. Right now, the only thing I'll say as far as an improvement is it is nice if the lid fits snugly on here. Um, you're not going to get any worms try to escape from this anyway. That's the only thing. If it's sealed nicely, then you wouldn't have to worry about any worms escaping. But they're not going to try to escape. They can smell the food in here, so they'll try to get in there, and um, that's it. The mission today is to harvest some compost. Um, to do that, I've been over the last couple of weeks. Um, this is a migration composter, so there's 2 sides with a screen in the middle. I'll open it up so you can see it when I do this. But and what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks has been to feed them all on this side. Every time I feed the worms, I feed them only on this side. And let me get some tea. Hold on 1 sec. Make sure I'm still recording. Yeah, what I've been doing is feeding them all on one side, so that the premise being that the worms on this side, as the food is depleted on this side, will all migrate over to this side, leaving this side primarily worm-free. It's not always worm-free because it's always producing worms as they hatch out of their cocoons and all that kind of stuff. So, excuse me. You're not going to get them all. You're never going to get them all. Um, but by doing this, you got to be pretty vigilant with the food in order to keep them from migrating back as the numbers over here get bigger. So what I've done is I've developed a. This isn't my idea. I got this from somewhere, but it's a worm trap. I'll show you how it works. put my glove on here. And if I can, down, not in there, go on the other side. Go to the other side. Okay. You guys too. Come out of there. Yeah, here, I'm just gonna move these things, these ones. My block now. I try to take them off the lids and stuff because they've only got a few minutes of life outside the moisture, and things will dry out here. So, if you can even see that one. There you go. Can you see how small that worm is? So small. Camera shy. Anyway, put him in there. Oh, here's one. It's even smaller. God. Yep. So small. You can hardly see them. So this is what I mean when I say you're not gonna get them all. You can't see them. There's no way you can see them. So, but anyway, what I came down here to do is just like pull out. See, there's still a fair amount of worms in here. So we'll have to set it a few times, but that's okay because the compost is pretty much ready. So we'll. That is a rubber band. That's not a worm at all. Okay, well, anyway, so there you go. Let's get into this. Yeah, I'll do it from this angle just so you can see the whole thing here. It's an avocado pit. Jeepers, I don't know how else I have an avocado. It's pretty cold actually, but it makes sense that this side would be cold, colder than that side because the heat comes primarily from them moving around and being active. So this side being cold is not surprising because there isn't a lot of activity going on over here. I fed the other side yesterday. I was going to make this video yesterday, but my microphone was dead. So I fed the other side yesterday, and it would take a few days, even at optimum temperature, for these worms to get on that side. So I'm not going to take all the stuff at the bottom because it's not quite done. That's a bit heavy. So I'm just going to take the stuff here on the top. There's still nice compost once it gets all dried out. So there you go. So there, that'll do. I think. Okay. Good. Good. Oh, that's heavy. Oh, I dropped some. I don't know if you can see on the floor here where it's obviously leaking. That's going to be another video. I'll have to fix it, but I'll do it in the summertime. It's January 7th today. So I'll wait till the summertime and I can take this stuff into bins. I'll put everything into a bin or multiple bins, and then I'll have to take it all apart and find out where the hole is. But that's neither here nor there because it's in the plastic. So I'll just get new plastic, realign it, probably fix this up. That's an old screen, and redo it. But it's a bit of work, so I'd rather put the worms in a bin and put them. I guess it really doesn't matter. I'm mainly procrastinating is what I'm doing. If I'm being honest with myself, I don't really want to do that right now. So it'll be a project for the summer. It's on the list. It's just not at the top of the list. Okay, I think we're good here. No one's gonna get squished. Okay. Okay, now we got the compost in the pail. The next thing is to set the trap. So basically, we're just going to put this in there. It's not rocket science here. The big thing, though, to consider is you want. You see that? Yeah, that's better. The big thing is that you want the mesh, whatever you're using, the chicken wire in this instance, to actually sit on top of the compost, because the worms can't jump, right? The worms can't jump, so they need to be able to crawl up through there. And it will settle, so the next time that we set this, it'll probably have to push that down a little further. And which is no big deal. But yeah, that's one thing. Is that you want the screen needs to be touching the compost so that the worms can crawl up through it. Okay. Next thing is the newspaper. So we're just going to tear some newspaper into strips here. Just enough to cover the bottom. It also helps to keep the food that we're going to put in here from getting into the finished compost, because then you have unfinished compost, and that's not what we're going for here. So, that'll do here. I'll do one more over here. Why not? There we go. All right, that works. What we do is sit down, and we're going to put in. I got some banana, bit of coffee grounds. Coffee grounds in this instance isn't ideal because it will go down through the paper. But I mean, coffee grounds in your garden is good anyway. There's lots of eggshells in here. I'm going to keep the eggshells out because the eggshells I found in the worm bins are sharp edges that can, if you're not paying attention, can cut the plastic. So the worms don't really eat the eggshells. They more make homes in them. So it takes a long time for the eggshells to break down in the worm bin. So you can put them in if you're not using a liner. If you're not using a plastic liner, then eggshells 100% use them. But I tend to keep them out. It doesn't stop the holes, obviously, because I still have a hole somewhere in there. But I mean, this actually, yeah, I'll put it in there. This worm bin went through the move, so I'm surprised it's still in one piece. I did have help getting it into the moving truck. Thank you, Kevin. But getting it out of the truck and getting it in here was all on me, by choice. By choice. So anyway, I'm surprised that it's in one piece at all. I did put it through the wall at one point in time, so there'll be a video at some point in time of me fixing the drywall. But it wasn't gonna last forever anyway. So I'll anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. There you go. That's all you need right now for the worm bit for the trap here. This will be enough to attract the worms to come up through. So I'm going to now take off this glove. Ultimately, at this point, the trap is set. As far as the worms go, I am going to fill this. It's a good idea, especially if you're using bananas. It's a good idea to fill the empty space on top with newspaper. That way, it will cut down on fruit fly infestation. I do the same thing in the worm bin when I'm starting new bins, or if I'll probably do that when I start using this side that we harvested from today. When I start using it again, if I can't quite cover the food with enough compost, it's subjective. It's, if you think you got good coverage, then that's good. But you want to always bury the food in the compost bins because for fruit flies primarily, and other environments. But like a mouse isn't going to get in there. I mean, it's got that metal mesh tends to keep them out. I've never had an issue with anything besides fruit flies. I'll say that. And if I don't even know how to describe it. The dry newspaper on top acts like a maze. So even if you have fruit flies around, they can't get into they get lost in the maze, I guess. That's how that works. And then ultimately don't reproduce. It works. Dry newspaper, it works. And there you go. So, where's the lid? The lid's over here. And bam, there you go. Worm trap set. So we'll come back in a couple of days and harvest the worms that we've trapped and reset it. Do that a couple of days, a couple of times, and we'll have some finished compost for the garden. Okay, so there you go. I had someone probably a year ago now. I did a short on reloading this thing, not this one, but another one. And I understand it was kind of confusing. So hopefully this video will just show you how to load this and build and load this worm trap. What can I say about it that I haven't already said? It's nice if you get the lid and the pail that fits together. Like I have orange pails outside, but they're not in great shape. And it being January, some things are frozen outside. So it is nice if the lids fit together, lid and the pail fit together. The screen mesh needs to be on the compost, sitting on the compost, in order for the worms to get up through. The newspaper on the top is a good idea. um, especially, well, it's just a good idea anyway, for flies. Um, it needs to stay dry so that it only works if it's dry. If it's wet, it doesn't do its job. So I'll show you when I go to harvest this first bit. I will take whatever whatever wet newspaper is in there, and I'll put it in the compost, and then put all dry stuff in there again. Um, the what was I going to say? It's January 7th today, I think. 6th. January 6th today. Um, so um, I would, if it was cold, I would take this inside, um, in the house, like the actual house where it's warm. Um, but mainly because if everything is warm, it will be the worms move around faster, which will make this go faster. Um, we are going through a bit of a chinook in this week, so the temperatures are going to be, 5 to 10 degrees outside, which will probably make it like 12 to 15 degrees in here. Um, so I'm just going to leave it in here for now. If I don't think it's working fast enough, I will bring it inside in the kitchen. The kids aren't here this week, so um, if it smells, it's just me. It's fine. Um, but it shouldn't smell anyway. But it's only banana peels ultimately, um, in there. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully, you found this video helpful. If you're just getting into worm compost, or you're thinking about getting into worm compost and you're wondering how to get the worms out of the compost, this is what I've, in the last 15 years of doing this, is the easiest way I know of. The migration system, um, in complements, I don't know, that's not the right word, but in conjunction with the worm trap, is by far the most user friendly way of doing it. Um, Especially in northern climates, everything is frozen outside. I'm surprised I got into the compost today, um, and that's only because I have a little bit of a compost, a little bit of a hole in the compost where it's still active, so it's not frozen. Um, so if I can keep that going, that's awesome. Everything else outside is frozen solid, so even with the Chinook coming through. So that's it. Yeah, if you're thinking about getting worm compost, if you have worm compost and you're wondering how to, it's such a pain in the butt. It doesn't need to be. If you can get a migration system like this going, the towers, if you can figure out how to get the towers to work, I've never had any luck with the towers, but um, that could just be a me thing. Um, the migration system and the worm trap here, that's what I call it. Um, you'll see. This is the way to go. So anyway, if you want more information, eatmyshrubs.com. There's lots of stuff on there about worm composting. I'm going to be making more stuff. I'm going to make another bin some point this summer. So we'll go from there. Awesome. Thanks for watching.